Hey guys, this is Jaden here, and I tried to record this video. I just tried to record this video off my laptop, but for some reason the video couldn't save. It was an over 19-minute long video. I said so much in that video, and for some reason it couldn't save. What the heck? Oh my gosh, I recorded the whole over 19 minutes for nothing? Gosh, is my laptop being a piece of crap now, like this phone? Oh my gosh. Do I need a new laptop now too? So yeah, and I really want to upload this video, and I want to share my opinion on this movie I'll be talking about in this video. And yeah, before I do so, here's a spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, in case if you haven't seen the first Tom and Jerry movie, spoiler alert, all that stuff. All right, now with all that out of the way, on to the video. Tom and Jerry, Tom and Jerry, Tom and Jerry. Good old classic Tom and Jerry. I love Tom and Jerry. Yeah, I've always liked Tom and Jerry. Although I wouldn't exactly say that I've always loved Tom and Jerry, though. Not because I ever, not that there was ever any time where I disliked Tom and Jerry or hated Tom and Jerry. No, I always liked Tom and Jerry, but I wouldn't exactly say that I exactly loved it. I ever exactly loved it until, like, I think late July of 2013. And yeah, we're in the month of July in 2022 now, so yeah, that was like almost 9 years ago. Crazy to think about how it's already almost been a decade ago, but yeah. Yeah, I started being obsessed with Tom and Jerry in and I'm pretty sure of July of 2013. And, because that's when we started watching the show more often late at night on Boomerang and all that stuff, and I fell in love with it and I loved it. I was crazy obsessed with it. I watched it all the time, recorded it, kept recording it off of Cartoon Network and Boomerang, and, I watched it, laughed at it. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was a great show, and to this day I still think it's awesome. I still think it's a great show. I think it's a classic. And I love the Tom and Jerry shows. Now, as for the Tom and Jerry movies... the Tom and Jerry movies don't really interest me as much as the shows. Now, I'm not saying any of the Tom and Jerry movies are bad. I'm not saying any of the Tom and Jerry movies are bad. I'm not saying the Tom and Jerry movies are bad. In fact, I haven't really seen all the Tom and Jerry movies. I've seen some of them, though. Like, I saw the Nutcracker Tale movie, which was, I saw the Nutcracker Tale movie, which aired on Cartoon Network a lot. And it's a classic Christmas movie. And I remember watching that one way before I even started to be obsessed with Tom and Jerry. Really good Christmas special, in my opinion. Possibly the best Tom and Jerry Christmas special, if you ask me. And there's also the Magic Ring one. I saw that one I remember watching a bit of that one off of Cartoon Network when I was little. And then maybe like a few years later, I saw a bit of it off of Boomerang on one Saturday morning. And, yeah, there's that. And there's also there's also this one. I don't know. Okay, technically, maybe this doesn't qualify as a movie because it was like a 22-minute long thing for the Tom and Jerry show, but it was called Santa's Little Helper, and I saw PhantomStrider put it on his top 5 worst and best Tom and Jerry movies list, which I'll leave a link to that video in the description below if you want to check it out. So yeah, I saw PhantomStrider put that movie on his list, and I got interested to check out the movie because of that video, so I went to go check out the movie. And it's a really good movie, and shout out to PhantomStrider for introducing me to that movie. A link to his channel and that video I was just talking about will be in the description below. And there's also that one Mars one, Tom and Jerry Blast Off to Mars, whatever the heck that movie was called. I remember watching some of that one off of Cartoon Network when I was little, and I liked that film. And just so you guys know, no, I have not yet seen the latest Tom and Jerry movie from last year. Not because I think it looks bad or anything like that, but because, well, okay, I've had a DVD of the film for over a month now, but I haven't seen it yet because I'm too lazy. Okay, I don't know if you could hear me. I don't know if you can hear me clear enough through the pillow. Yeah, that pillow thing was really unnecessary, I know, but yeah, it's because I haven't seen the movie yet because I'm too lazy. I've been too lazy to do so. I'm such a lazy boy. I know I really need to be less lazy, but yeah, I haven't seen the movie yet. But I do plan on watching the movie at some point in the future. Maybe I'll watch it with my dad because both me and him really like Tom and Jerry. Yeah, I do plan on watching that movie on DVD at some point in the future. I don't know when, but I do plan on watching it at some point, and maybe I'll do a review on it. Who knows? But yeah, and now onto the Tom and Jerry movie this video is mainly about. The very first one. Tom and Jerry, the movie. From way back in the early 90s. Yeah. What's my opinion on this movie? Well, to be honest, I used to hate it. But that was because I was being a copycat. Because I saw the Nostalgia Critics review of this movie, which is a really good video in my opinion. I'll leave a link to that video in the description below as well if you want. If you guys want to check it out. But yeah, I saw the Nostalgia Critics review of this film. I thought it was a really good review. I thought it was pretty funny how he was ranting about how Tom and Jerry talk in the film and all that stuff, about like all the songs in the film and like, you know, all this stuff that has nothing to do with Tom and Jerry, and you know, Tom and Jerry working together and all that stuff. Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny. Yeah, I really liked that video to the point where I tried to copy the Nostalgia Critics opinion by hating the film and agreeing with literally with everything he said in that video. Yeah. Does that sound like great logic? Just because I really like a review, that means I should copy whatever opinion is said in that review? No, that's not great logic. I can enjoy a review and not agree with the opinion being said in that review. But yeah, I was copying the Nostalgia Critics opinion on that movie. And yeah, I hated the movie, but do I still hate it? No. Now, I know this film's a pretty heavily hated on film. I know that the Nostalgia Critic and I are the only people who have ever hated it, ever. No, there's a lot of people. It seems like apparently there's a lot of people who hate this film. And it probably seems like people are rather mixed on this film. Like, there's people who really like it, and there's people who really hate it. And like, yeah, I've seen people even consider it among the worst animated movies of all time. Yeah, they think it's that bad. That bad. Like, I remember it getting on the, I remember it making the dishonorable mentions list for Watch Mojo's top 10 worst animated movies of all time list, which is, yeah, another video I'll leave links to in the description below if you want to check that out as well. Yeah, some links will be in the description and all that stuff. Yeah, I've seen people really hate on this film. And yeah, I'm no longer on that hate wagon for this movie anymore. Now, why do I like this movie? Well, okay, so let me start out with this. Okay, so Tom and Jerry talk in the film, and no. It's not like how they talk in the original, in the show, where they were to talk occasionally. No, in this film, they talk. Like, they talk on a normal basis like real people. Like, normal people. Like, real-life people. And, yeah, that's something different for Tom and Jerry, and I really liked, yeah, and at first I was copying the Nostalgia Critics' opinion and ranting about how they talk in film, but looking back, I really like what they were going for. I'm pretty sure that was the joke they were going for, because you'd usually never expect a duo like Tom and Jerry to talk on a normal basis like that. I mean, yeah, they did talk sometimes in the show, but not like on a normal basis, just like rather occasionally. But here they're talking on a normal basis, and it goes on for throughout the majority of the film. Yeah, I really like the joke they were going for with them having them talk, and I also really like the voices they picked out for them. I think they did a great job with picking fitting voices for Tom and Jerry in this film, especially with Tom. And I think that Jerry's voice was really good too. And by the way, I've recently heard from Vanilla Rabbit Lover 2001's latest live stream that the voice actress for Jerry in this film passed away, sadly. So yeah, may she rest in peace. And I think she did a really good job with Jerry. And yeah, I don't remember the voice I don't remember their voice people's names in this film, but I think they both did a really good job with Tom and Jerry, especially whoever voiced Tom. Did a really good job with picking out fitting voices for them. And it's not just the concept of them talking that makes me like this film. No, I also like the songs in this film too. Yeah, I also like the songs in this film too. Now, granted, maybe they could have used less songs, like the Nostalgia Critic said in his review, but I think they're all good songs, and I think they're all good songs, and they all work. And you know, I especially remember like the one where Tom and Jerry sing. Like the Friends to the End song, where Tom and Jerry sing with these two guys they meet, which is a dog named Pugsy and that little flea named Frankie. Yeah, they sing about how they're about being friends to the end, about how they shouldn't be like fighting with each other, and that how they instead should be friends, how they enjoy being friends and all that stuff. Yeah, I like that song. It's a nice. I like that song. It's a nice song, and yeah. And speaking of the topic of Tom and Jerry being friends in this film, I do like that's another cool and different thing that I think that this movie did, was like, you know, have it be about Tom and Jerry working together. Now, granted, this sure as heck isn't the first time Tom and Jerry has worked together ever. No, I remember them working together in the show too, but like in the original show too. But like, still, it's still something nice and different for Tom and Jerry to be working together. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not that I don't like to see them fight or anything like that. No, I love it when they fight. But like, come on, like, don't you think that they can get along? Don't you think that it's okay for these two to team up every now and then? Don't you think it's okay for these two to team up sometimes team up occasionally. I mean, come on, it's not like the show's called Tom versus Jerry. Come on, it's called Tom and Jerry. It's not like it's called Tom versus Jerry. Don't you think they can work together every now and then? I mean, come on, we've got plenty of them fighting with each other, chasing each other, and all that stuff. Don't you think that we can get more of them working together? Don't you think that we can get more of that? Come on. Yeah, and Tom and Jerry, while they still fight with each other in the film, they still spend a good chunk of the film working together, and they work together, and they become friends with this little blonde-haired girl named Robin, and they meet this girl named Robin, and Robin gives them food, and she talks to them about her past. I mean, and yeah, this brings into another reason as to why I like the movie. As to why I think the movie's good. Another thing, something cool and different the movie did, was it actually had some unique, in-depth storytelling. And let's be honest here, would you ever expect to see something like that in Tom and Jerry? I mean, look at it. Tom and Jerry, now don't get me wrong, Tom and Jerry is great. I'm not criticizing it for having lack of story or anything like that. It's not supposed to have that deep of a story. It's a slapstick comedy, for crying out loud. It's supposed to make you laugh and all that stuff, but still, isn't it something nice and different? To see him have some unique and in-depth storytelling in this film. They give us this character named Robin, and they explain to us about her father, Indiana Jones, and they also give us this side plot with these characters. This big woman, I forgot what her name was, but I remember her name being pretty weird, and there's also this dude named Mr. Lickboot. And moving on to the topic of names, like the Nostalgia Critic said in his review of this film, there's some pretty weird names in this film. There's also this doctor later in the film called Dr. Applecheeks, and there's also this and there's also Mr. Lickboot, as I just said, who's that skinny dude who wanted to who both him and that big girl and that big woman wanted Robin because she's worth a lot of money and all that stuff. And there's some pretty weird names in that film, and I don't think I would exactly say it's a good enough reason to not like the film, but I guess it could be a problem you have with the film, because those are some pretty weird names. Not that I mind the fact that those are some pretty weird names, but I think it's just something worth mentioning, even though the Nostalgia Critic already said it in his review of this film. But yeah, this film has some really unique and in-depth storytelling. It's it tells you about Robin, it tells you about her past, it tells you about her father, Indiana Jones, and how she's out to and about how she wants to find her father, Indiana Jones, she's on that adventure throughout the whole film to find her father Indiana Jones and all that stuff. And Tom and Jerry help Robin out to find her father Indiana Jones. And yeah, throughout the movie, Tom and Jerry work together to help Robin with this adventure and all that stuff. And yeah, they become friends with Robin and all that stuff. And yeah, there's some really nice and unique storytelling in this film, and I think that's something nice and different for Tom and Jerry. It's something nice and different. I think this film has some really cool, nice and different stuff that you would never expect to see from something like Tom and Jerry. It's pretty cool. I mean, honestly, would you expect a slapstick comedy show like Tom and Jerry to have a movie that has unique and in-depth storytelling like this? Yeah, I would say it's something nice and different. I would say it's something nice and different, and the film does introduce some pretty interesting characters. I think Robin herself is a pretty interesting character, and her father Indiana Jones, and I like Pugsy. I like that Frankie Flea, and I think this film has some nice and new characters that we'd never see in anything else Tom and Jerry related. And yeah, throughout the whole film, there's a bunch of stuff going on. We're introduced to all these characters. Oh my gosh, there's also this big fat dog. There's also this big fat dog who Tom and Jerry meet and all that stuff, and there's also these animals that they meet in this place that they get taken away at, and that's where they meet that dog named Pugsy again and all that stuff. And I think that's where they meet Frankie again too. Yeah, there's all these new characters that you never see in anything else Tom and Jerry related. It's a pretty common thing in these Tom and Jerry movies to introduce us to characters that you never see in the shows. I like how the movies do that. Something nice. I like how the movies do that. Something cool and different. Introduce us to all these characters that we never see in anything else Tom and Jerry related. And throughout the film, Tom and Jerry work together and all that stuff. And yeah, we never really while the film does tell us about Robin's father, Indiana Jones, they never really show us. They never really show us her father, Indiana Jones, on a personal level, interacting with any of the characters or anything like that until near the end of the movie. where Tom, Jerry and Robin are stuck at this burning house, and then Robin's father, Indiana Jones, comes in and saves Robin, but he doesn't save Tom and Jerry because he didn't really know much about Tom and Jerry there, and didn't know about how they were Robin's best friends and all that stuff, and so yeah, he didn't save them because of that, not because he didn't like them or anything like that, but because he just didn't know. He just didn't know who they were. He just didn't know they were Robin's friends. But yeah, so yeah, he leaves Tom and Jerry to burn. He leaves Tom and Jerry to burn in that burning house, but fortunately, they don't actually get burnt. No, they survive without having an inch of anything burnt on them, and and then Tom survives, and he's like freaking out. He's like looking for Jerry. He's like, oh my gosh, like he's like hoping Jerry's still alive, and showing that he actually cares about Jerry, showing that Tom and Jerry, proof that Tom and Jerry actually do care about each other. Then it shows that Jerry's still alive and all that stuff. And then gets mad at Jerry, and then quickly, Tom, Jerry, Robin, and her father, Indiana Jones, they all come together, and Tom and Jerry are welcome to Robin's family and all that stuff, and they go to Robin's new home, and Tom and Jerry are back into silent mode now. And then Jerry does this mousetrap and then Tom does this mousetrap thing on Jerry, which backfires on him, and then Tom and Jerry chase each other. And then Tom and Jerry chase each other in good old-fashioned Tom and Jerry style, and then boom, that's the end of the movie. So, yeah, guys, that's my opinion on the film. I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as people say it is, nor do I think it's anywhere near as bad as I claimed it to be when I was little. I think it's a really good film. I think it's a really good film that does some cool and nice and different things that we'd usually never see anything else Tom and Jerry related. Like with Tom and Jerry talking on a normal basis, all these songs, all these these new characters, these new characters, the unique and in-depth storytelling and all that stuff. And the movie did some cool and unique things. Although I do understand why people hate the film though, because they don't like how Tom and Jerry talk and all that stuff, and they don't really care that much about all these new characters, and there's some weird weird names. There's some weird names in the film. Now, I feel like that could be another joke they were going for in this film. But I guess I would say it's fair criticism that they could have done a better job with the names. Not that I have a problem with the weird names, though. I think it's pretty funny to look at those weird names. Yeah, I think that could have been another joke they were going for, but I don't think it's but if it's a joke, I don't think it's as obvious as a joke as, Tom and Jerry talking in this film. Yeah, that sure as heck wasn't the first time they ever talked, ever. No, they talked before. They talked before in the show, but they talked, rather occasionally. They talked, rather occasionally in the show. Here, they talk on a normal basis, and that's something nice and different in Tom and Jerry. I think that's something nice and different in Tom and Jerry, and again, I think they did a really good job with picking out the voices for them. And yeah, I would like to see another Tom and Jerry movie or episode that involves Tom and Jerry talking on a normal basis like this again. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't want it to happen, and I wouldn't want it to happen too much in the Tom and Jerry franchise so it doesn't get too unspecial, because, it is rather a special thing for Tom and Jerry to talk on a normal basis like this, and, they're usually really silent and all that stuff, and they're not, they're usually, there's a lot of times they're they're rather not that they're rather pretty quiet. They rather don't make any sounds at all with their mouths, and all that stuff is screams and all that stuff. And and yeah, but I would like to see another Tom and Jerry show or episode that's all about them. That's about Tom and Jerry talking on a normal basis like that again. If there's already another Tom and Jerry episode or movie that's all about Tom and Jerry talking, that's about Tom and Jerry talking on a normal basis, I would like to know about it, and I would like to see it. So, yeah, guys, that's about it for the video. What do you guys think of this movie? You can tell me in the comment section down below if you want. Like I said in this video, I went from hating this movie to liking it. Yeah, kind of like I did with Adventure Time, but unlike Adventure Time, I didn't hate Adventure Time because I wanted to copy some other YouTuber's opinion, hating on the film. So, yeah, guys, that's about it for this video. What are your guys' thoughts on this Tom and Jerry movie? You can tell me in the comment section down below if you want. Links will be in the comment section. Links will be in the description below. And this video is being recorded on the first day of July of 2020, but it is getting uploaded after midnight tonight, so I'll have a video for the next day. And yeah, guys, that's about it for this video. That's all for this video, you guys. Bye, everyone, and thank you all for watching this video.